Hi Reddit, I'm 30 years old, and something happened last night that I still can't fully wrap my head around. I've been married to my husband Mark, 32, for 5 years. We've always had a solid relationship. We met in our mid-20s, fell in love fast, and got married within a year. We both had stable jobs, good communication, and shared values, at least, I thought we did. 2 years ago, we decided we were ready to start a family. After a few months of trying, I got pregnant with our daughter, Lily. She's now 8 months old and the absolute center of my universe. But here's the thing, I don't know who my husband is anymore. It started small, right after Lily was born. At first, I chalked it up to exhaustion and stress. He became withdrawn. Not angry or mean, just distant. He stopped talking to me unless it was about Lily or the bills. No more late-night talks, no little kisses on the forehead, no holding hands when we sat on the couch. He said he was just tired, overwhelmed with work, and adjusting to being a dad. I tried to be understanding. I really did. I handled most of the baby duties, night feeds, diaper changes, doctor visits, hoping he'd come around. But he never really did. Then came the weird behavior. He started sleeping in the guest room so I could sleep better. He put a lock on his laptop, even though we've always shared everything. He started going on more late meetings and conference calls that required him to be in his car for hours. I asked him if everything was okay, and he'd brush me off or get defensive. My friends told me I was probably just hormonal or reading into things, but my gut was telling me something was off. I decided to trust my instincts. Last night, when Mark went out to get groceries and didn't come back for nearly 3 hours with nothing but a bag of cereal, I knew I had to stop pretending. I waited until he fell asleep in the guest room and snuck into his office. I've never snooped before, but this time, I couldn't help it. I just needed something to make sense. His laptop was in his bag, locked with a new password. But what he didn't know was that I'd seen the password one night while he typed it. He didn't notice I was watching. I remembered every key. When I typed it in, it worked. And what I found? I haven't slept since. So, like I said, I got into the laptop. I didn't know what I was expecting. Maybe old messages, maybe search history, maybe. I don't know. Something dumb. Something forgivable. I wanted to find something I could explain away. But I didn't. Once I got in, the first thing I noticed was a folder on his desktop labeled with just a period. Literally just dot. Like he didn't want it noticed. It was hidden in plain sight, but it screamed intentional. My heart dropped. I hesitated for a second, hand literally shaking on the trackpad. Then I opened it. Inside were over 200 files. Mostly videos. A few pictures. Some PDFs. Every file name was just a string of random numbers and letters, like someone had gone out of their way to scramble everything. My stomach turned before I even clicked on anything. But I couldn't stop myself. The first video I opened was of him. My husband. He was sitting in his car, filming himself. At first, I thought maybe it was for work or something. But then he started talking. He said he felt trapped, that he wasn't ready for the life he had, that he missed feeling alive, that everything had started to feel like a role he was playing, and he didn't know how long he could keep playing it. He said I didn't know the real him anymore. That I was too busy being a mom to notice who he was turning into. That he wasn't sure if he even loved me in the way he used to. That was the first punch in the gut. But it got worse. The next few files were audio recordings, him talking to someone. A woman. Not anyone I recognized. Her voice was soft, familiar with him in a way that made my skin crawl. She called him baby. She talked about how she wished they could just disappear together. She asked him if he had told me yet. He said, not yet. Timing has to be right. That was the second punch. I closed the laptop. I didn't even watch the rest. I couldn't. I just sat there in the dark, staring at the wall, trying to breathe, trying not to scream, trying not to let my mind spiral. I wanted to storm into the guest room, throw the laptop at him, and demand answers. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the fact that our baby was asleep down the hall. Or maybe it was the part of me that knew I needed more information before I made any move. Because if what I think is happening is actually happening, then this is bigger than just an affair. And I think it might be about Lily. I barely slept. I kept the baby monitor close and stayed curled up on the couch with Mark's laptop sitting across from me like a bomb I was too scared to touch again. But I couldn't sit still. By 6 a.m., Lily was stirring in her crib, and I snapped back into mom mode. I changed her diaper, fed her, held her close, but the whole time, my brain was miles away, replaying Mark's voice over and over again. I don't feel like myself. I miss feeling alive. Timing has to be right. What did that mean? After I put Lily down for her morning nap, I grabbed my phone and opened his social media, something I'd never had a reason to check before. There were no obvious signs. His DMs were dry. His posts were mostly baby pictures or food, maybe a selfie here and there. His friends list hadn't changed. But then I remembered something. In one of the recordings, the woman had giggled and said, "You know she's going to say my name soon." That line had hit me hard last night. But now, it chilled me to the bone. So I tried something. I sat Lily down after her nap and started talking to her like it was a game. I said names out loud, just to see what she'd react to. Grandma? Big smile. Dada? Giggled. Then I said a name I hadn't spoken in years. Erica? And Lily lit up. She looked right at me and clapped. I froze. I haven't talked to an Erica since college. And I know Mark had dated someone by that name back in high school. I'd asked once, casually, early in our relationship, and he brushed it off, just a typical teenage romance. Didn't mean much, he said. But now Lily knew that name. You don't just guess names like that at 8 months old. Somebody's been saying it around her. A lot. And it wasn't me. After Lily reacted to the name Erica, I sat there frozen, my heart pounding in my ears. She clapped, smiled, as if I'd just said her favorite word. This wasn't normal. Babies don't fake that. They don't perform. I knew right then, Erica wasn't just some ghost from Mark's past. She was here. Somehow, she was part of our daughter's life, and I hadn't even known. That thought alone almost made me throw up. I put Lily back in her crib with a toy and went straight for Mark's laptop again. This time, I didn't hesitate. I opened every file. One by one. I made myself watch. Listen. No. Most of the videos were journal-style clips of Mark, talking to the camera. Rambling late at night, sitting in his car, or alone in his office. Some were just minutes long. Others went on for nearly an hour. In one, he talked about how he never stopped loving her. I always wondered what life would have been like if I stayed with Erica, he said, his voice soft, like he was confessing something sacred. I don't regret my daughter. But sometimes I wonder if I chose the wrong person to build my life with. That's when I opened the folder inside the folder. He'd buried it deep, nested within layers of random file names and junk folders like a digital labyrinth. I only found it because I searched Erica and a string of image files popped up. When I opened the first one, I literally dropped the laptop. It was Lily. My daughter. In the park. But I hadn't taken that picture. I hadn't even been to the park that day. I remembered because that was the afternoon I'd had a migraine and asked Mark to keep Lily home. He said they stayed in and watched cartoons. But that wasn't true. There were dozens of pictures, Mark, Erica, and Lily. At the park. At a cafe. Even one in our backyard, where I'm guessing I must have been asleep or out running errands. And in every photo, Erica was holding Lily like she was hers. That's when my vision started to blur. I sat there, shaking, barely able to breathe, with a single thought looping through my head. How long has this woman been around my child without me knowing? I don't even remember closing the laptop. Everything after that felt like I was watching myself from outside my body. My hands were shaking. My vision kept tunneling in and out. I walked to the kitchen and splashed cold water on my face just to keep myself from screaming. I felt violated. Robbed. Not just of trust, but of time. Moments, real, precious moments between my daughter and some stranger, had been taken from me. And for what? Because Mark missed feeling alive? I sat at the kitchen table in silence while Lily napped upstairs, and that's when I made the call I didn't want to make. I called my sister. I didn't even plan what I was going to say. I just told her to come over. I didn't tell her why. She didn't ask. She showed up within 30 minutes. I guess she heard something in my voice. That dead tone. I had nothing left to hide. I showed her the pictures first. She didn't say anything for a while. Then she just whispered, "Who is that woman?" When I told her, "That's Erica," her face darkened in a way I'd never seen before. She immediately said the words I hadn't dared to think out loud. "He's having her play mom." I opened another audio file. This one was newer, dated just 2 weeks ago. It started with Mark's voice, coaching Lily to say mama. And then, a pause. And Erica's voice, laughing softly, whispering, "No, baby, say mommy too. Say it for me." I slammed the laptop shut so hard I thought I broke it. That was the moment I knew, this wasn't just cheating. This wasn't just betrayal. Mark hadn't just let someone into his heart. He'd let her into my daughter's life. And he did it behind my back. After hearing that recording, Erica calling herself mommy too, something in me flipped. Like a switch. The grief I'd been drowning in evaporated into something else. Pure, burning fury. I wasn't just heartbroken anymore. I was done being the quiet, understanding wife. I was done making excuses for the man who looked me in the eyes every night and told me he loved me, while another woman was holding our baby and whispering mommy too. And I couldn't stop wondering, how? How did he even get away with all this? I'm with Lily most of the time. I do the night shifts, the early mornings, the appointments. How had he found the time to take her to parks and cafes and secret visits with AITA? That's when my sister said something that made my stomach twist. Didn't he start taking Lily to daycare once a week so you could rest? He did. About 2 months ago, Mark said I looked exhausted. He offered to give me Fridays to myself, said he'd drop Lily off at daycare and pick her up after work so I could get a break. He even told me to sleep in, take baths, read, do something just for me. I was so touched by the gesture. I thought, wow. He sees me. He's trying. But now? I opened our daycare app and checked the attendance logs. Nothing. Lily hadn't been signed in on any Friday since that arrangement started. Every single week, I'd kissed her forehead, handed her to Mark with a grateful smile, and he'd taken her to AITA. He looked me in the face and lied, walked out the door, and put my daughter in another woman's arms. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stood up, walked into the nursery, and watched Lily sleep, her tiny chest rising and falling, her little fingers twitching in a dream. She had no idea. No idea that the people she trusted most were already using her in a secret they thought I'd never find. But I knew now. And I wasn't going to let this slide. After everything, the photos, the daycare lie, the recordings, I knew I couldn't keep pretending. I had evidence. I had rage. But I also had a baby upstairs who needed peace, and a future I needed to protect. I didn't want to explode. I didn't want screaming or drama. I wanted clarity, answers, and a plan. So I called in sick from work and stayed calm. Waited for Mark to come home like it was any other day. At 6:17 p.m., I heard his keys in the lock. He walked in, greeted me casually, asked about dinner. He even tried to kiss me, and I flinched like he'd touched fire. He noticed. He paused. What's wrong? I just said, we need to talk. His face changed. Not panic, calculation. Like he was running through a mental checklist. What could I possibly know? What might I have seen? I didn't play games. I walked over to the table where his laptop sat open. I clicked the folder. The videos, the photos, the audio, still there, untouched. I said, I know. His face didn't crumble the way I expected. He didn't apologize. He didn't cry. He sat down. Slowly. Like he was finally tired of pretending. And he said something I will never forget. I thought I'd have more time. That's all. No denial. No excuses. Just that. I asked him how long this had been going on. He said a year. A year. He and AITA had reconnected at some mutual friend's birthday party while I was pregnant. They'd started texting, just catching up. Then meeting. Then talking about old times. Then, once Lily was born, AITA told him she regretted everything they'd given up. She said she wanted a family. And he gave her mine. He admitted he'd never planned to leave me. Not at first. He said he just wanted both lives. He said AITA made him feel seen. That she understood his restlessness. He kept using that word. Restless. I asked him if he loved AITA. He said yes. I asked him if he loved me. He said, I don't know. That broke me more than any lie ever could. I asked the final question. One I wasn't sure I wanted the answer to. Had she been in our house? He hesitated. Then nodded. Only when you were out. Only when I was gone. Only when my back was turned. Only when I trusted him. I didn't say another word. I picked up Lily from her crib, packed a bag, and left. I didn't slam the door. I didn't scream. I didn't look back. I just walked out. Because now I knew everything. And I wasn't going to give him another second of my silence. I moved in with my sister that night. She had a room ready within minutes, like she'd been bracing for this the whole time. Lily was asleep in her arms while I unpacked with shaky hands, not because I was afraid, because everything had snapped into a new kind of clarity. This wasn't just the end of my marriage. This was the end of the illusion I'd built around it. The next morning, I blocked Mark on everything. I couldn't stomach hearing his voice, and I didn't want more half-truths or whatever his version of comfort looked like. But I didn't block AITA. Not yet. I wanted to see what she'd do now that the truth had crawled into daylight. It didn't take long. She posted a story that afternoon. A photo of a baby's hand wrapped around her finger. My daughter's hand. The pink knit sweater I bought from a small boutique still visible in the frame. The caption? Some bonds are just meant to be. 2 hearts hashtag mommy too. I couldn't breathe. I stared at the screen so long my sister had to take the phone from my hands. The comments were even worse. Friends of hers, people I didn't know, were gushing. You're going to be such an amazing mom one day, loudly crying face red heart. She's so lucky to have you in her life. And then, this one. He should have been with you from the start. That's when it really hit me. She wasn't just part of an affair. She was building her narrative. A new storyline where she was the devoted soul who waited in the wings, where I was the temporary obstacle, the placeholder. And Lily? She was part of their fantasy. Not mine. I sat in silence for hours after that, going over every time I'd missed something. The Friday daycare runs. The random new toys Lily suddenly had that I didn't remember buying. The way she giggled at the name Erica like it belonged in her little world. Because it did. Mark had let another woman play mother to our daughter. And now, she was acting like she earned it. Like I was just some chapter he was ready to close. But this isn't a story she gets to write. Not anymore. After that post, after hashtag mommy too, I knew this wasn't just about heartbreak anymore. It was about rights. It was about Lily. Erica could play the Instagram fantasy all she wanted, but she had no legal ties to my child. And if Mark thought he could casually divide Lily's life between us like weekend plans, he was in for a brutal awakening. I called a lawyer the next morning. My sister sat with me while I explained everything, quietly, carefully, trying not to let my voice shake as I listed off emotional infidelity, unauthorized contact with our child, hidden relationship with a former partner, and exposing our daughter to a third party without my consent. The lawyer didn't flinch. He said I had a strong case for temporary sole custody. But then, as we were going over paperwork, he asked something that caught me off guard. Have you documented the social media posts? I had screenshots, sure. But he was talking about evidence trails, dates, captions, public reactions. The post of Lily's hand with Erica's name attached to it? That could be used, especially in a hearing. We started collecting everything. And that's when the next wave hit. Someone had forwarded Erica's post to a mom forum I used to be a part of. One I hadn't visited since Lily was born. And it spread. Fast. The comments were brutal. People recognized Lily from the few baby photos I had posted months ago. People asked why another woman was calling herself mommy to someone else's child. Someone dug into Erica's past and found out she'd posted a similar photo with another man's child years ago with almost the same caption. Suddenly, Erica's fantasy world wasn't looking so picture-perfect anymore. She deleted the post within hours. But it was too late. It had been screen-recorded, re-uploaded, dissected by strangers. And I hadn't said a word. Not yet. Meanwhile, Mark texted me again from a new number. Just 3 words. We need to talk. But I wasn't interested in talking. I was preparing. Because now, this wasn't just about betrayal or heartbreak or a broken marriage. It was about a mother protecting her child. And I was done waiting. The day of the custody hearing came faster than I expected. I walked into that courtroom with every document, every screenshot, every silent tear I'd cried behind Lily's nursery door. My lawyer had everything in order: the photos, timestamps, daycare records, even the audio clip where Erica whispered mommy too. Mark showed up looking like the version of himself I hadn't seen in months. Fresh haircut, clean shirt, nervous smile. He thought charm would save him. It didn't. The judge didn't care about smiles. She cared about Lily. About stability. About the fact that Mark had intentionally deceived his wife, violated our verbal custody agreement, and exposed our child to someone with zero legal or biological claim to her life. When the judge asked why Erica was allowed access to our daughter without my consent, Mark hesitated. He said, "She's just someone I trust." Wrong answer. The judge raised an eyebrow and asked, "Do you understand that you gave your daughter to a person your wife had no knowledge of? That you allowed someone outside the marriage to assume a maternal role without permission?" He froze. I didn't. I sat there, steady. I didn't cry. Not because I wasn't broken, but because I wasn't letting him see it anymore. By the time the hearing ended, the ruling was clear. I was awarded full temporary custody. Mark was granted supervised visitation, once a week, in a neutral location. Erica was explicitly barred from any contact with Lily. He didn't look at me as he left. He looked down. Like a man who finally realized he was never getting back the life he thought he could juggle. I didn't celebrate. I went home, put Lily in her crib, and sat by her side for hours. Watching her sleep. Watching the rise and fall of her tiny chest. Her fingers curled around the same pink knit blanket from that photo Erica had posted. The one I'd almost let ruin me. But it didn't. Because in the end, Mark didn't get to rewrite our story. He didn't get to hand my motherhood to someone else and walk away clean. He's a guest in her life now. A visitor. Not the man who raised her. Not the one she runs to when she scrapes her knee or needs a song to sleep. That's me. I'm the one who stayed. I'm the one who fought. And no matter what stories they tried to write around me, I turned the page. This chapter? It's mine now. Final update. Erica deleted all her social media accounts. Mark hasn't missed a single supervised visit, but he hasn't asked for more either. I've started therapy. So has Lily, in her own little toddler way, playgroups, sunshine, and moments I don't take for granted anymore. We're healing. Slowly. But fully. And I don't know what comes next. But I do know this. The door that led back to the life I had with Mark? I locked it. And I threw away the key.